Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Blackbull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Blackbull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Blackbull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, if you like futures because of the tight spreads and clear setups, go check out Blue Guardian Futures. They let you start trading futures with up to $450k in funding. The best part, you keep 100% of your first 15k in profits, then 90% after that. No activation fees, weekly payouts, and they're sponsoring Chris Eubank Jr. and Birmingham City FC. Go take a look at blueguardianfutures.com or click the link in the description.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Brinks Trades coming to you live with another week of breakdowns. Hope everybody is doing well this week. Hope everybody is doing well. Got about 7 people on the call. I know I'm going usually a little bit later than I usually go, but I just wanted to make sure that I got on here and gave you guys the breakdowns for next week. So again, hope everybody's doing well. And again, if you don't know me by now, hopefully everybody knows me by now. But if you don't know me by now, my name is Brinks Trades, aka Blake, and I'm a day trader that I have about a decade of experience. And so I started trading in May of 2015 in the Forex space. And then since then, I've really traded in both the Forex industries and the futures industries as of the last couple of years. And so bring a really unique perspective to the markets. And basically what I do every week is I come on as the official indices analyst for the Trading Nut podcast. So I break down charts every week and really just kind of give my projections of the market. The number one reason I do this is because my brand is built on transparency, right? And so I say this every week, but there's a lot of fakeness and fake stuff and frauds and fraudulent people in this industry and the trading side of things. Social media traders that just flex a lifestyle instead of actually being able to do this. And so I want to give people inspiration, let people know that it's really possible to actually create a career or create an extra income from trading. And so obviously it's not a guarantee, right? There's nothing, and I'm not gonna say that, but I wanted my journey to kind of be a testimony to the fact that you can consistently pull money out of the markets, and that is a possibility. So again, I come on every week and I break down charts. I love to see where people are calling in from. I know this is a recorded call. It lives both on my YouTube and then obviously with the Trading Nut podcast as well. I think we actually figured out how to go live on Instagram too. So I think I am actually live on Insta as well. Yeah, so I come on every week and basically break down these charts. And so the first thing I love to do is kind of see where people are calling in from. We got 11 people on the call. Go ahead and drop a comment in the box and see where people, see where people are calling in from. Louis Verse says, "What up, dude? What's going on, man? Where you calling from? Where you watching in from?" So again, I know this is a global call, right? It's people all over the country, all over the world. We usually get some people from Africa, Australia. Obviously, Cam hosts the podcast, and he lives in Australia somewhere. I don't know where in Australia he lives, or New Zealand, or something like that. But he lives out in that area. So there's a lot of people that call in from Africa, a lot of people that call in from all over the world. T. Brooks said he's calling in from Louisiana, New Orleans. Shout out to New Orleans. I got to get down there one of these days. It's on my visit, one of the cities I definitely want to visit. So again, we get people from calling all over the world. We got people calling in from Botswana. So shout out to Kennedy. So it's good evening from the Seychelles Islands. I don't even know where that's at, but I feel like it's somewhere. I've heard of it before. Yeah, and I think it's in Africa or off the coast of Africa. So it's all over the world. We got Tony calling in from Baltimore, Maryland. You know what I'm saying? St. Martin in the Caribbean. So we got people from all over the world, man. It's a really crazy experience where you get to really touch people's lives and just affect people's trading from, a bunch of different industries, man. When I first started in this space, it was a Facebook group of some people that I knew that lived in Miami, right? And that was it. And I think the guy that ran it lived in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's all I knew, right? I knew that group and I saw people making money in that space. But now trading is such a global thing that you can really be anywhere in the world and learn and trade, right? People got access to all these different markets that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago. And we're doing things that, man, you would have needed, you know, to have connections to the finance industry or live in a brokerage or have a brokerage or do some crazy things on Wall Street, right? To get access to all the stuff that we got right now, even on just trading view. So it's really cool to see all the people around the world, hopefully, and hopefully you guys have been following me for a while, and hopefully y'all have kind of benefited from seeing the result or seeing the kind of the call outs. And so again, I want to make sure that this, I'm an inspiration to somebody and really show people that we can really consistently uh, you know, pull money out of this market on a week in and week out basis. Skippo said Jamaica, that's what's up. So we got all over the world, man. So let's go ahead and get into it. And again, if you don't follow me on social media, follow me at Brinks Trades. I'll drop a link in there in the chat. I'll drop a link to the Discord later on after the call is over. But I want to get to business. I want to get to the actual charts. So let's go ahead and look at what happened this past week. So I said I wanted a couple things to happen this past week. Let me pull up the actual. There we go. My actual chart where I break things out. So I said I wanted to see a few things happen. The first thing that I wanted to see was if we go to the weekly time frame on dollar. Again, y'all know why I start on dollar, and that is because I want to make sure that we get a overarching view of what dollar does, because that really drives most markets. Understanding what the dollar is and the relationship to the dollar is what drives most currency markets up and down, and also drives the indices market, right? So your US30s and things like that. So if we understand dollar, we should understand where we're going next. So ideally, when we come here, looking at the weekly time frame on dollar, this is, again, it doesn't matter what style of trading, what you take. I've taken a lot from retail concepts, I've taken a lot from SMC concepts, right? And you'll see that in my trading. But we really, no matter what you want to call, this is really a bearish market, right? We formed a double top, we had or running of liquidity, whatever you want to call it, but we're basically forming a bearish structure right now. We traded back, broke out lows, broke the neckline, right? So we're really looking for the market to really want to go lower, right? That's the goal here. And so what I said is I wanted to see a couple things happen. The first thing was trade at the worst case scenario, us trading back into this imbalance here and really looking to go lower. But ideally, what we were thinking here is that the market could really trade back up into this weekly fair value gap, or this range right here, where there's a daily inverted fair value gap. There's also a weekly one there, and the market will really retest that area to continue to go down, right? So that's basically what we are in the middle of getting. We ran to the liquidity of the last couple of weeks, traded back into this range, and now we're looking to go lower. So ideally, this is what I want to see going into next week. I don't think the bearishness is over. And again, this is what I want to see, as the market really retest this gap and then look to continue to go lower. And so if we look at that, what that might look like on our daily time frame, we could see us potentially even trading back into this volume imbalance here, right? We can see this volume imbalance. So you're seeing all this overlapping kind of ideas. We have a couple fair value gaps, an inverted fair value gap, and then also this volume imbalance in that range too. So I would love for the market to really run up into this the early part of next week, and then really spend the rest of the week trading away from this. And we'll take it back down to this low, these relative equal lows down here. So ideally, I'm bearish on dollar. Let's go ahead and jump into euro. And let me go see what these questions look like before we get into that. See if we got any other questions. What are we going over today? Good, my good sir. So we are going over the same charts we usually go over. So it's going to be dollar, it's going to be your indices, it's going to be your major currency pairs, and I might look at them through the forex or through the futures lens, because I trade more of the futures market now. I actually have a 10K challenge going right now, where I just actually got back to profitability on that one. So I have a $10,000 live account. I know I call it a challenge, and that might sound like I'm trading with a prop firm, but I have a $10,000 fund or $10,000 personal account that I told everybody that I'm going to grow between now and the rest of the year. And I wanted to show people transparently what you could do with $10,000. Now, $10,000 is like the average amount of income in the United States that most people have sitting in their bank accounts. The average person has about 10 grand stacked up. A lot of people have more, some people have a lot less. But if you add up all of Americans, at least just in the US, that's the average, kind of amount of money sitting in the bank account. And so I wanted to make that 10K. I took the 10K really to show people that you don't necessarily need a prop firm to make money, and you can grow an account overall. But obviously, prop firms are an amazing skill. They're an amazing opportunity to really leverage people's capital. So if you have the opportunity to take advantage of them and you're disciplined, you should definitely use them, because what you're running up with your $500 account, trying to flip it into a couple thousand, every week or whatever, you could easily invest into a good, reputable prop firm and really start to get payouts through that. So that is my challenge that I'm going up. And I actually got back to profitability this week on it. I think I took a couple trades on Euro or GBP. I can't remember which one that really lined up. But we'll go through it and talk about all of it. So just spilled my coffee. So what's the most difficult? Louis says, what's the most difficult thing about knowing about which price direction I'll go? So I think the hardest thing to know about the direction of price is, well, it's really a twofold question. It's like when you know what, or when you think or you have a good understanding of what you think price is going to do, is really just kind of determining, identifying areas, right? Obviously, that we think the market could potentially pull back to, right? And then on its way to a higher time frame target. So I think figuring that out is the hard part. But then also, once you do figure it out, well, there's really three things. Figuring it out, right, is the hardest part. The second hardest part is seeing if that actually plays out in the market and determining whether that market is actually going to play out the way you think it is. And then the third thing is really just being able to have the patience to wait for the actual setup to give you the right entry based on your higher time frame method. So on these calls, I basically just outline where I think the market's going to go for the week. I don't really show my entry methods. I don't really show a lot of the hard parts, which is waiting for the market to line up on a bunch of different time frames in the right time zones, right? For or time kill zones or time zones for us to really take actionable action. Because I'm not really trying to trade every day, and I'm really only looking to take maybe 1 or 2 trades a week. I'm not a swing trader, so when I show you guys these trades, I'm not holding them. I'm not. So like, for instance, on dollar, when I showed you that pullback, I'm not holding it from that entry to the take profit. I'm really looking for something in between that range to get long or short on. So being able to kind of tie in all of those three things together, I think, is the hardest part. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Brinks is the real deal. Shout out to whoever that is. I feel like they're a student. I can't be sure. I feel like I've seen that name before. Shout out to Hugo. So Skippo says, I was starting to find my edge in currencies like Euro and GBP because of social media and friends. And I started to trade indices like NAS and US30 and also gold. I blow a lot of accounts. Any advice? Yes. Let me see. I'm going to read this one out loud a little bit. Move me over here. Yeah, so I was finding my edge in the currencies like Euro USD and GBP USD, but because of social media and friends, I started to trade indices like NAS and US30, and I also gold, and I blow a lot of accounts. Any advice on that? Yeah. So my number one piece of advice is, forget NASDAQ and US30s. Only trade what you're good at and what you can see. Because here's the thing. I sit up here and I analyze charts every week for you guys, right? I'm not taking trades on all of these, right? I'm only taking trades on the pairs or the charts that I feel the most comfortable with the setup and with the ones that I know that I can manage emotionally. I've been trading currencies since 2015. My first trade that I took live was on Euro USD with a $300 account. And everybody knows the story about how I turned $300 into $1,000 in a week and then lost it all by that Friday, right? And so I've been doing the currency side for a long time. And so when it comes to currencies, I know everything about that market, how it moves, when it should move, what it's looking like when it moves, what crazy situations look like, what calm situations look like. So I know everything about that market, and that's my edge, right? My edge is understanding a certain play in the market, which is my New York session and currencies, right? And so my students will talk about this all the time. I'll talk about this with them, that this is the market that I know in and out, right? And I understand NASDAQ and I'm being able to predict stuff. You guys can see stuff, and I take a lot of trades on NASDAQ too. But if you put gun to my head and say trade the markets and make money, right? I know that I can find a setup with this chart, with my euro chart, with my pound chart, with my USD chart, right? And I can make money on that consistently day in and day out. And so you got to go back to the chart where it's like, if all else fails, and I'm a big sports guy and I use a lot of sports analogies, right? It's like when you're down, right? You're going up against a team and nothing's going down. You can't hit a shot, right? You got to be able to do something to get a bucket, right? And so that is your go-to trade, right? And go-to trade, go-to chart. And so you don't need to move to anything that's faster, because I guarantee you make $100,000 trading euro, it's going to feel the same way making $100,000 trading NASDAQ. So you got to trade the chart that you feel most comfortable with, um, day in and day out. And that also, because of that, is um, if you don't know, the thing about NASDAQ and the US30 is that it got really popular. Honestly, I'll probably credit Q Banks. If everybody knows who Q Banks is, he's probably the trader that I was the first one that I saw trading US30. And that was the one that made kind of everybody start trading, at least online. And the problem is that when you're trading indices, indices have crazy price swings, real crazy price swings, right? So if I look at, a 5 minute run on NASDAQ real quick, just to show you guys, right? A lot of times, if you're trading currencies and the market's going to go up for the day, it might just hit this low and then go straight up, and there's not a lot of chop. These things swing like crazy. Look at all of these swings on NASDAQ, right? There's chop above here, it runs up, it runs back down, it runs up again, it runs down, it runs up, down, up, all over the place, right? And when you catch the right swing, obviously we know what the market's going to, we have an understanding what we want to see the market do, but it's a lot choppier, right? And every chop that you get, every swing that goes, back and forth before it finally goes up, that's your emotions going up and down, up and down. And the problem, you're blowing accounts, and I'm gonna let you know right now, you're probably blowing accounts because you're not managing your risk, right? And if you're not managing your risk, it's going to lead to emotional turmoil, because you're going to take a loss. You're going to probably want to make that money back, whether it's $1,000, $100, or it's like whatever, you're about to blow your account challenge or whatever it is. And then you're trying to make it all back in one day, right? Or a couple days, right? Or you think you're going to get rich today. And so the problem with NASDAQ, the problem with the indices is that sometimes it's really hard to maintain emotional stability while trading. And so if you have a market, but some people are the opposite. Some people have been trading NASDAQ for so long that it's just easy for them, right? And a lot of it has to do with experience and comfortability, and being able to see the same scenario over and over and over again. When I played sports, I didn't get comfortable playing until I had done a lot of reps. Like, it takes a lot of reps to get comfortable in a space. So you get used to the volatility, right? So if you have an edge, the number one thing I guess I'm trying to say is, if you have an edge in the market, stick with that and forget what everybody else is telling you. Like, cancel those charts, get rid of them, stop trying to trade them, and just trade what you are good at, or what you are feel comfortable trading. And I think that's the most important thing. It's about being good, being able to analyze it, but then also being comfortable to take a position on that and manage that position, because your friends aren't going to manage your account for you, right? The social media, they're not going to manage your trades for you. And if you blow that account, it's on you. So you got to do what you feel like is the easiest way to pull money on the charts, and you'll scale, right? There's people that can take an account from euro, and I'm trying to show you guys that right now, because the chart that I'm trading is all the personal account challenge that I'm growing is all forex. There's no indices at all, and I just wanted to show people that you can do it in any market. But you 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 have to be able to do it on your own and manage it. But then also you'll find that, like, dude, $1 million or $100,000, it all pays the same. Like it doesn't matter what chart it is, but you got to be able to manage your mental, manage your trades, and no one's going to be able to do that for you. So forget what everybody else is saying and do what you got to do. So Appa says, have you ever done analysis on gold? I love the username. I love Avatar. It's one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. Have you done analysis on gold? I haven't done it yet. I will do it today. Australia is the second largest gold producer in the world. Did not know that. Have you ever traded gold, XAU, USD? So I've never really traded gold until recently. Everybody started asking me about gold, and my go-to answer with that is that gold is an event-driven market, so it only really moves in times of turmoil and in times of uncertainty. And this year is one of those times where there's a lot of uncertainty in the market and people don't know what's going on. So gold is going to skyrocket. It's been skyrocketing since pretty much the beginning of last year with the election and everybody's worries and fears. And it's probably going to keep going because there's a lot of tariff restrictions and things like that that are going to be going on and really affecting people. Any regulated futures brokers that trade MT4 and MT5? I don't believe so. I think AMP Futures technically has a MetaTrader component. I've never tried to use it. You might have to look into it. But honestly, the best thing for you is just learn how to trade other platforms. Like, don't get so caught up in the platform, right? Learn how to trade as many platforms as possible because the charts are the charts, right? Like that's the easy part. So I would say like don't get stuck on MT4 and MT5, especially if you live in the US. I don't remember where you said you were calling in from. You're from New Orleans. Okay. So yeah, so like you're gonna have to get used to trading on, TradingView or a different platform, but there's not a whole lot of futures brokers that I can think of that use MT4 and MT5. It's mostly a Forex platform. All right, so let's get back into it. Let's look at Euro because that's going to be the one that I'm most interested in for next week. So there's a couple things that happened on Euro, right? If we go back 5 days, there's a couple things that I said I wanted to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what Euro was looking like last week. So I said there's a couple things that I wanted to see specifically, and the first thing was. Oh, excuse me, sorry. The first thing that I saw that I wanted to see the market really run to was I wanted to see this market go higher. That was kind of like my goal for the week. So I wanted to see the market do something like this, where it ran out these lows, specifically these lows here, these relative equal ones right there, and then maybe potentially go up, right? And so instead, what we actually got was the opposite, where we ran up, took out the highs for the week, and then traded lower, I believe is how exactly it went down. Yes. Boom. And Friday was pretty crazy. It was pretty volatile, right? So ideally, what I want to see the market do is I wanted it to trade back into this range here, right? Go lower and then turn around and go higher in that gap, or in that after taking out a low or trading back into this weekly fair value gap. If you look and see here, we did trade back into that weekly gap. So what do I want to see going into next week? Well, let's look at the daily time frame here. Right, so this is a daily fair value gap that's sitting right here. This is a SIBI, right? So we saw the market trade back up into this. Technically, we did break structure, right? By trading back into this volume imbalance and then, taking out this low, retesting this fair value gap. Again, my students should know the play. So ideally, what I see here is this market really still continuing to dip lower. And so my eye is immediately going to be drawn to this low here at 1.12325. So that's the low that I want to see the market take. And trading back into the range. Again, I think in the long term, this daily action is just us trading back into this fair value gap. So I think that's what's going to happen. But excuse me. Well, let me rephrase that. So trading back into that fair value gap to ultimately go higher again. I think we're still very much bullish. This is just a weekly retrace, right? We had a few weeks of just straight rise, so it's kind of good to get that. So trading back into that gap, and then I want to see the market hit here for the target. And that level is 1.13000 or 1.13055 for the low. But then also the one that I'm looking at is 1.12305. So I'll be on a lot today, man. So ideally, what I want to see is that happened this week. If we look at GBP again, same thing, same idea, right? We came up and swept that high, took out that buy side liquidity late last week, I think on Monday or something like that. Yep, on Monday. And then we are pretty much on the verge of breaking structure and going down. We inverted this old fair value gap right here. And so when the market took out our high from this previous week and then ran up and then broke structure by inverting that gap, that lets me know that we're probably not going back up there. And then add into the fact that this is actually, I believe, a weekly fair value gap, the BISI on the bottom. No. So nothing about this really says bullish at all. So ideally, I want to see the market trade back into the range. I'm looking at specifically a few levels here. This low right here is going to be the main one. Between these two, Euro and GBP, I actually like GBP a lot better. So again, this is pound futures. Same thing as GBP USD if you are trading that. So let me hop back over to the comment section. How would you describe your trading strategy? For example, I'm a bias-focused volume trader. So I would describe my trading strategy, if I had to sum it up in 2 sentences, is I'm looking to find out where the next 5 days of price action are taking us, right? And I'm looking for, well, 2 levels, right? So the higher time frame analysis that I do here is I'm looking to understand where the next 5 days of price action are going to take us, right? And then between that, in those 5 days, I'm looking to, if we're bullish, right, I'm looking to take out the low of the day, and really look for an opportunity to take price to the high of the day, right? If we're bearish, then I'm looking for an opportunity to take out the high of the day to take it to the low of the day. That's really the highest, like a higher time frame or high level view of what I do on a daily basis. And so I work with my students. I tell them this all the time, that really, as a trader, I'm only really I don't really swing trade. I'm really just trying to get the best 2 or 3 trades in that week of the weekly range. So something from an entry that I can take from the low of the week to the high of the week, in that range, trying to find at least 1 or 2 good trade setups each week, and that's it. So really, just again, identifying highs and lows of weeks and really trying to find the transition points or the weekly reversals in that where I can take things to my projected targets. So I really focus on liquidity, I guess, too, is the other thing too. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's, basically simple enough that everybody gets it. But then obviously it's very complex. It's really simple strategy in terms of like what exactly I'm looking for. It's hard to execute because there's a lot of different factors that go into it. But that's simply put, that's basically what I'm trying to accomplish each week. High of the day to the low of the day, low of the week to the high of the week on a weekly. So let's look at GBP. Let's look at gold. Gold here is in a situation where I think they are. You see that? So ideally here, when we're looking at gold, obviously gold, this is gold futures, but if we're looking at XAU, right, this is a Forex equivalent, right? So XAU means that it's going to move opposite of the dollar because the gold is first and obviously the second, USD is the second. So inverse relationship. So if you want to see the dollar go higher to go lower this week, then we're going to want to see the the DXY go lower to go higher, right? If that makes sense. So let me go back to gold. In the grand scheme of things, I'm still bullish on gold. Again, I think this is just a pullback. What I could see is the market really retesting either this order block down here or consequent encroachment of this wick. So whatever consequent encroachment is, then that's what I would want it to take. It's also a very, very small imbalance right there too. So there's a few levels that I'm watching on gold, but ideally I'm bullish still. There is this fair value gap that we inverted, but we traded back down to that one. Ideally, this is still very close to this gap here. So best case scenario, I would want the market to run out the low, maybe even trade back into this fair value gap here, and then really look for opportunities to take things higher if it gives us current structure. Last week wasn't really a great week for market reversals, so you gotta be patient. You gotta be patient and give what the market is waiting for. So if you don't see your confirmations, then it's not gonna matter. Let me get rid of this too. Let me go back to gold. So ideally, I want to see the market really run lower on gold and then look for the opportunity to take that. This also could be seen as consolidation, manipulation, and then potentially distribution. So we could be in the middle of a power of 3 on the daily time frame with gold. So just something to be watching. Let's look at NASDAQ. I know that's why everybody hops on because they want to see like the bigger charts play out. So last week, actually, I'm going to start with YM because last week I told everybody I was kind of struggling a little bit to get a good grip on the market. And I said, ideally, I want to see the market go higher. But there was a couple issues. I said, these charts are really choppy right now, is what I said. And so what I did was look at YM on the 4-hour time frame. I said, well, we're probably trapping liquidity up here. The market's probably going to want to run to retest this. So, and again, you guys can go back to the old charts last week and see. But we're trapping liquidity here. So we want to see the market trade above these highs, really just to keep going. And so ideally, what I want to see happen here going into next week is continued bullishness, right? Now, again, when we hit the target here, gotta take a step back and see if the market wants to reverse off of that high, because it could run this high and this could be the ultimate draw on liquidity and it could just contain from there. So ideally, what I want to see is the market really run into, I want to see the market run into that that gap right there, or that high right there. But really we'll be watching this volume imbalance. So this fair value gap. It's really from this high to this high. But anytime you have a volume imbalance with a gap, you got to overlap that. So I'm really looking for the market to really come up and hit this area here for the week. So let's look at NASDAQ. If you guys have questions at all, let me know. You say, yeah, I'm looking at 3,200 for a potential long. Do you mean 3,200 for like how much money you'd make, or the actual price level? We'll come back to that. So let's look at NQ again. Because YM was my leader last week, I didn't really have I was looking more at that to kind of give me guidance on what I should do with NQ. And a lot of times I have one pair that's kind of like my leader for, especially with currencies. You know, this is a really good thing to have with currencies, is that you really want to trade pairs that are correlated assets, because, or they have, they understand the relationship between those two currencies are. So for instance, dollar is obviously king. And so I use that to analyze. So I want everything to flow in line with dollar. So if it should be flowing with dollar, cool. If it should be flowing opposite, cool. But they need to be doing what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing. And so then I also have another pair that I trade that basically aligns itself with that main asset. So for instance, I have euro, but I also trade GBP, and I know that euro and GBP should be, they shouldn't be button heads. They should be moving in the same direction. And so when I see one of them trade in the right direction, obviously it means that I'm looking for the same thing to happen on the other, as well. So but what I do with those is I usually have a leader, right? And the leader is the one that is the clearest setup for me, right? So I might be looking at euro, I might be looking at pound, but I say, okay, cool. I'm only going to take pound this week because pound's charts are just clear in terms of what I want them to do. Whereas, and this is just an example, right? Obviously, there's days this, it changes based on the day or based on the setup, but there's definitely days where euro is the one that I would look to trade first because of the setup, right? So um, ideally, what you would have here is, is a leader. So with NQ, YM was my leader. So I wanted to see the market go higher, right? I wanted to see the market take out these highs and then um, continue to run higher. And so what we did is we took out this old high here, we traded back in this fair value gap here. So it's going to be really tricky to watch these over the next few weeks. And so if your trades aren't moving like you think they are, then it could be, you need to kind of watch those price levels. So ideally, I want to be watching these levels here, but ideally I want to see the market really give us a low for the week. And I think that I want to see the market trade back into this price level here. Yeah. And then look to go higher. So this is the rejection. So I will be watching to see if we break structure on the daily, on the 4-hour daily time frame, because it's going to really shift our whole idea and bias for the week. But ideally, I want to see the market really run up and keep going. So let me look at this. So ideally, again, I want to see the market come up in that level and really inverse this fair value gap. There's nothing here, but I do want to get flat. Obviously, I would be flat until the market shows us that it wants to continue to go up. So that's where I'm at. Ideally, I want to see the market trade back into this daily imbalance here and then look to go higher. So that's my plan for this week on NAS. Let's look at ES. It's probably very much the same thing, where the market is really still running towards those levels. And so the cool thing that you want to watch too is the relationship between, again, all three pairs. So really, so they give you an idea of divergence. So notice how YM took out its high right here. That was made on April 25th. NQ also took out the high that was made trading up, but then ES didn't go. I guess it did go. It didn't take out this high up here, right? Which is the long-term target that we thought it was going to get to. So ES or YS took out, YM took out this target. ES took out, did not take out its target, and Nasdaq did. This could signal that this is divergence, and we're not going to get that high. That this whole market could be ready to reverse to in ES and Nasdaq and YM are just trying to get its last little bit of the liquidity. So that's what I got. But ideally, until that happens, I can't really bet against it. So I would like to see the market really run up and take that high. And maybe it'll do that on Monday, and then it'll spend the rest of the week trading away from it, just like how we experienced last week. So that's kind of what I am seeing on my charts for this week. If you guys have any other questions, I'll stay on. I don't really have too many things for you guys. But I will drop this. If you guys are not part of my community, the Profit Playbook, which again is going to be in a name change really soon. But until now, it's called Profit Playbook. But basically, you guys can join here. And it's pretty much a free community. There's two levels to it. There's a free community where we just talk about chats and people can ask questions and things like that. There's also the mentorship aspect. That's, it's with a more premium level of membership. And so with that, you guys get access to my course that I teach on. You also get access to the premium parts of the Discord where I trade live 3 days a week, or try to trade live 3 days a week. Some weeks the setups aren't there, and I just don't want to waste people's time being on the call. So 3 days a week with that. And then also access to me for my Sunday calls as well, where I break down charts. So it's a really good resource to have. And again, it's, for the most part free. So if I had some stuff like this, I would definitely take advantage of it. So don't hesitate to join that. But then also, like I said, I don't have any other questions. So I don't have any other points for the charts. So I'm down to look at more charts. I'm down to have, for people to ask more questions about trading, or just kind of like how I made my transition to being a good trader, and kind of and hurdles that I had to overcome. So also always down to do that. So if you have any questions at all, I'm down. But again, want to see a bearish dollar, want to see a bullish dollar. But I'm sorry, a bearish dollar, a bullish euro and pound, a bullish gold, and then indices are still bullish. I think this is the low. This looks very much like it was the low of all this tariff recession talk. We could, and we never know. We could just have another day where something crazy happens. You never really know, but you can't ever know for certain. I'm being very cautious on indices right now, and so as you guys get, more and more experience, I think Skippo said it, where he was, really trying to get an edge in a market, right, and kind of play trading to his edge, and really was struggling with indices. I haven't honestly been trading a ton of indices right now. I've really been trading more currencies because the market is too crazy right now. And so I'm not trying to mess with that too much. And I feel like it's starting to settle down now. But it hasn't been fun the last couple of weeks. So if the markets are moving too crazy for you, just chill out. You don't have to take a trade. Don't feel like you need to take a trade, right? You want to have a really good idea behind your trades. You want to be able to emotionally manage your trades. So don't feel like you need to hop on charts and trade just because the markets are open, right? And so if you find yourself not being able to manage stuff mentally, revenge trading a lot, blowing accounts, blowing challenges, that's your sign that you're not really ready for what you're trying to do. So, or you're doing too much and you don't know how to do it. And so I tell all my students, journal your trades, journal yourself, and not just journal the trade activity, but journal how you felt in the trade. Did you feel overwhelmed? Did you feel all these things? Because that stuff's going to help you kind of navigate yourself as you're learning about, obviously becoming a better trader in the markets, but you're also learning yourself. And like 70% of this is actually yourself and how you manage your own emotions through stress and loss, right? And so that's the biggest thing. So I would say, again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll stay on for a couple minutes. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second, but I'll be right back. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the box. And I like answering them. I feel like, most people don't get a chance to pick the brain of a trader that has been doing this for a long time. So I think it's really beneficial. It's really helpful to people that are new. Don't waste that time, because if I had 30 minutes a week or something like that to ask people questions, I definitely would have took advantage of it when I first was learning. So, but that's all I got for you guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But either way, join the Profit Playbook free chat, and you guys will be able to stay locked in with me. And then again, follow me on all social media at Brinks Trades. Yeah, I do a lot of motivational stuff. I do a lot of chart stuff. I think we're live right now on social media. So on Instagram, so you should be seeing that as well too. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know. And again, I'll be on for the next couple minutes. So again, drop the questions and we'll talk about them. All right, guys. So yeah, 100% Tony. It's basically, I mean, there's so many analogies between sports and trading and honestly anybody that does a high performance activity, right? There's always those those parallels that you have. And so like the biggest things are yeah, just making sure that you're in a good headspace, right? Because you need to really make sure that, it's the one part of the game that people don't. But then also you can't overemphasize bad strategy too. So if you don't have a good edge in the markets, then you're not going to be there. But a lot of times you're going to find your edge is mental, right? Being able to handle yourself through drawdown. Can you take 5, 6, 7 trades in a row that are losers before you turn things around? Can you manage that mentally, right? So a lot of stuff like that. All right, Hugo, appreciate it, man. Hopefully, again, if you guys find value, join the chat. If you're not already in there, if you guys are in there and you're members, then see you back in there and next week. So have a good weekend. Go touch grass. Go do something fun, and I'll catch y'all on the next call. Peace.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, if you like futures because of the tight spreads and clear setups, go check out Blue Guardian Futures. They let you start trading futures with up to $450k in funding. The best part, you keep 100% of your first 15k in profits, then 90% after that. No activation fees, weekly payouts, and they're sponsoring Chris Eubank Jr. and Birmingham City FC. Go take a look at blueguardianfutures.com or click the link in the description.